All right, let's start this. Yo, what is going on, guys? As you can tell, everything looks a little different, right? The quality, we got a little upgrade. Today's video is gonna be actually how to get the best. I don't even know why I'm talking like that. Anyway, I'm just about to show you something really fast. You guys can just copy it. I'm gonna try not to explain too much. I'm gonna make it easy. But if you're on PC playing Apex Legends, I'm gonna try and show you how to get the best settings for when you're recording and you're playing this game on PC. If you only got one PC, not if you're using dual PC, I don't care if you're playing on Xbox or you're playing on PS4, this doesn't apply to you. If you are streaming or recording and you want to get the best frames, but at the same time the best quality for you to record, I'm about to show you right now. First things first, we're gonna go right over here. I'm gonna show you, you gotta go to your Nvidia control panel. We're going to adjust image settings with preview. You're gonna change this to use the advanced 3D image settings. Normally I believe it lets you here with the 3D application. We want to choose everything. You're gonna go to manage 3D settings, and I'm basically gonna try and scroll slowly, and you can just copy all this. And I am going slowly, but probably not fast enough for you to keep reading your screen and watching this. But you can pause the video at any time and you can double check your stuff. Now, you don't have to copy like everything. Your stuff might be different, obviously, like here. The most important stuff is literally right. So you want to do power management. You definitely want to change this to prefer maximum performance. Preferred refresh rate, you want to do the highest available. That's whatever your screen can have. And then you do copy all this. Texture filtering quality, you want to do high performance. You don't want to do more quality because you're using a single PC. If you are using your CPU, which is the X264 encoder, that means your CPU and the GPU are trying to run OBS or Streamlabs or whatever it is that you're using to record or stream, and at the same time they still gotta do the same amount of work into playing your video game. Apex Legends is kind of tough on both. I will always recommend, I think, because I think they improved it a lot, change your encoder to the NVENC, NVENC, and we'll get into that later, but change it to the NVENC because that is your graphics card. It's using your graphics card instead. The new graphics cards, like all the RTX ones, they have a dedicated chip strictly for encoding, for streaming, recording. So now your CPU can run OBS, for example, and your game, and not at full capacity. It will not overheat because your graphics card is going to play the game and encode it within itself for you. So you don't have to worry about that. Anyway, so you want to change all your stuff to high performance because you want to be able to save headroom on the graphics card. You don't want your graphics card to try too hard to even show you the game, because the harder the harder it goes on your game, the less quality you get from the recording or the stream. You basically got to ask yourself this question: what is more important to you? Is it stream quality, I mean, or what your game looks like to you? Because if you put all the highest settings on your video game, your recording and your stream quality is going to go down. You'll start to see it pixelate. You have to turn your everything down. So you want to find a middle ground to where it doesn't look too crappy and yet you'll still get the same quality coming out when you record or you stream or whatever. Anyways, okay, so that's that right. I think none of this matters. Your G-Sync, you gotta make sure your G-Sync is right. Enable G-Sync if you have G-Sync. And then here on your game, if you click on the settings before you start, you go to game properties, go to advanced launch options. You can do this. Here you can limit the FPS. This is so that you want to limit it on purpose, even though your FPS can go super high. But you're trying to limit it on purpose so that your graphics card isn't doing all that it can to get you the most frames. If you have a monitor that only goes 144 frames, why would you want 200 frames coming out? You don't need that. Your monitor will not display it. So try and limit your FPS to slightly under, because Apex for some reason doesn't seem to respect the number you put here. It gets it close enough, right? So if I put 200, it actually starts to limit it around 220. Like it'll jump around up to 220. So because my monitor is 240. So if you have 144, I would suggest maybe FPS max like this. You have to do it exactly the same. I would maybe do like 120 and then let it jump up and down so it can hit the 40. These two are basically the same thing. This is just to make sure that the frequency that the game is playing at, right, is you would put the number of whatever your monitor is. If you're running a 60 hertz monitor, then you would put 60. If you're running 144, you would put 144. Get what I'm saying, right? They're both the same. I basically put them both because I wanted to make sure that it went through, right? So you can do that too. You hit save and then you're gonna start your game. Now in game we're gonna change some stuff too. The reason we're changing a lot of this stuff is because you have to lower down whatever your in-game settings are in order for your stream to look better. It sucks, but unless you're running two PCs, one has to suffer just slightly. You don't have to make your game look super crappy, but I personally don't care that my game looks extremely HD. I want the most frames, I want the lowest latency, you know. Okay, settings, video. Make sure your resolution is whatever your screen is at, your monitor. You're playing 1920 by 1080, blah blah blah. Put this on full screen. It will always, you know, your game will always focus. And as you can see up here, FPS, that's what I was talking about earlier. It'll jump up and down slightly. In game it'll be different though, depending on where you're at or what. Anyway, my field, okay, the field of view, this, it even tells you on the side. Setting this above 90 may impact performance or cause visual issues. So you go up above 90, this also kind of hurts your graphics card. Personally, I found that you can go all the way as long as you're willing to sacrifice on other stuff. I know my face looks a little beat up. I'm breaking out, man. Anyways, so I leave mine at 98 because I feel like it's a good amount. Don't put that on minimum. VSync, you want it disabled. You don't want that. The reason why is that the VSync actually adds latency. It even tells you on the side. The latency is how long it takes for an action to go through. And you got to think about this. If I told you that VSync adds 1/3 of a second of latency, that's only what that's causing it. The signal still has to go from your mouse. The moment you click the mouse, the moment it went through to the computer, the game read it, and then the moment the monitor showed it. So there's a bunch of latency everywhere. So you want to just try and remove that. You don't need this because you're not running VSync. That's off. Anti-aliasing, just turn this down. This is the stuff that makes like the edges look really soft, right? This is what makes your edges not look kind of square, blocky, almost pixelated, right? But at the same time, this is one of those things that you don't need that. Like, I personally like my edges looking sharp because when you're looking at an enemy extremely far, they kind of like glow. And you might not like that, but you would see that person from far, as opposed to if you make everything really, really smooth. It'll kind of blend in with the background. So it even helps you visually. You look at pro players, they usually play with everything on extremely low. Like, personally, you got to try and figure out like why they're doing that, right? Gives you the most vision, it gives you the highest frames, it gives you the lowest latency. So benefits all around. Texture streaming budget, you got to turn this down too. Now personally, I used to play on none, but it looks so crappy. If you turn to very low, it still looks kind of crappy, but you have enough textures to where you can like, you can deal with that, right? Like you're okay with that. Texture filtering, turn this down too. It also makes it smoother. Basically what happens is every frame that passes by, texture filtering is filtering out the frame again and again and again and again, just to reduce the sharpness of the details. It literally has to try harder and harder and harder just to do that. So take that off. Ambient occlusion, that's the type of stuff that makes the like the darker areas look even darker. So just get rid of that. Anything that has to do with shadows, that's the stuff that makes your graphics card like try even harder. More than anything, really. Shadows are like the ones that impact graphics cards. And like I said, you don't want it to impact your graphics card too much, because it's already trying to play the game for you or show you the game, and then it's trying to encode the game for your stream or your recording. So can't have both worlds, right? You got to do one or the other. You got to make it meet at some halfway point. Cut them both at a certain area so you can display it at its best and play at its best. Anyway, sun shadow obviously low, disabled, low, disabled, low. Okay, basically it. Turn all this stuff down, dude. See what it looks like here. I'm see if I can turn this up. This is the difference. Put it on none. See this crap? You don't even know where the like some of the details start and end. Look at the background. You already notice it. Turn that to very low. You got textures, but you also see what I'm talking about. See how it makes everything look extremely sharp? And that's what it is. Now, if you do that, you can actually stream this game at 1080p. Maybe even 60 FPS. I don't recommend 60. You don't want your computer to try too hard and turn off on you mid-stream or whatever. I always recommend 900p. 60 frames will always look better. But yeah. If you guys have any questions on anything else, I might do another one for Call of Duty. Just to show you guys. But that's basically it. Let me know if you guys have any comments, questions, concerns. Doesn't matter. If it even helped you out slightly, please subscribe and hit that like. Anyways, till next time, Xenthus out.